on today's episode of the Cryptoverse livestream. Welcome to you all. Oops, I was testing the sound there. Don't need those in just yet, do I? Welcome to this week's livestream from the Cryptoverse. I'm your host, as always, Chris Coney, the founder of Cryptoversity and the host of the Cryptoverse, which is normally your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. Today's live stream features an interview, which it does most weeks, if I have a guest, that is. This week we have George Waller, it's Waller, I think, or Waller, from BlockSafe Technologies. This is an interesting project, if you ask me. So let's just show you the website here. It's blocksafetech.com if you want to scout this out before we begin. So it's a cybersecurity firm, and George is the cybersecurity expert that's going to come and talk to us today. Before we get into that, though, I would very much appreciate it if you would help to support the show and the production of this content, which you can do in one of two ways. Number one, you can head on over to the Cryptoverse website, thecryptoverse.show, and then click on the big blue button at the top there that says support the show, and there you can become a patron, get a whole bunch of bonuses, and have my undying gratitude forevermore. The second way you can do it is by becoming a student of Cryptoversity, my online school for Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. You'll find that at cryptoasset.school. You can take a 3-day trial for just $1, and then if you carry on being a student, paying your monthly tuition, that'll also help to subsidize the production of this content and also give you access to all of my online courses for as long as you are a member. There we go. So I appreciate whichever way you support me. I really do. I'm a little bit tired today because Omar Bam of Crypto's News kept me up until like midnight last night. We were in high fidelity VR reality. It wasn't that late for him because he's in LA, but for me, it was coming up to midnight and I had to go because I was thinking about today and I thought if I don't get out of here soon, I'm going to be absolutely shattered in the morning. So, just by the way, as I do every week, there's a special coupon code for for Cryptoversity. If you sign up to Cryptoversity during the live stream, you can use the coupon code LIVESTREAM2501 because it's the 25th of January. So that coupon code will give you $10 a month off your monthly tuition for life, but you have to use it during the stream. That's kind of my reward for everyone that turns out to the live stream. Now, today, I'm going to be sort of looking up at you a little bit because if you've been following me on Twitter, you'll see that little contest that I did where I had this massive Amazon box arrive and I did a little competition to give away some EOS to whoever guessed what it was. Now, I was staggered about how quickly 2 people got it, actually. No one got it when it was just in the big Amazon box. But all I did was unwrap it and open up the cardboard flaps. And Amazon have that sort of brown paper stuff that they put in for packing. And it was covering most of the box. And there was just something that said the choice of champions. And then it had NVIDIA 3D Vision logo. You know, like manufacturers have all of the various technologies that they support. Well, there was just 2 of those peeping out. There was nothing else in there. And 2 people got it. They said it was a 3D, NVIDIA capable 3D monitor, which it is. And someone else said it was a gaming monitor, which it sort of is. It's a Asus Republic of Gamers, what's the bloody model number? A Swift PG2278QR. Anyway, it's this enormous 27-inch monitor for content creation. But it's so huge, this is the point I'm getting to, it's so high that they're putting the camera on top of the monitor means that I'm not quite tall enough to look you in the eye, so I have to kind of look up at you and you kind of look down at me a bit. But, it's what we got. So now I've got like 3 screens going now with the streaming over here, Skype over there, enormous screen in the center with chat and everything. So I prefer not looking to the left to look at the chat, quite frankly, because now the screen is so big I can have multiple windows open directly in front of me, including my questions for the guest, the chat, Steam, all that kind of stuff. I can monitor YouTube and even the screen share and all that sort of stuff. So let me know where you're coming from today. I see Professor Wally's straight in there. Professor Wally, one of my most loyal followers on the live streams. I also see you on Crypto's live streams, Mr. Wally, Professor, of Gunbot University. A guy trades using bots and will teach you how to do the same thing. So check out Gunbot University. Professor Wally's always in with a nice tip, and also check it out. Oh, I've emptied the tip jar today. I remember to do it, but there is the stream boss. It's Professor Wally. He just got in there. at the last minute, on the last minute of the stream. Actually, I played the outro by then, but he did send a tip in, which it registers anyway, and it did, and it knocked out the previous stream boss, and Professor Wally's now the stream boss with, well, full life right now, full life. What is all these notifications? Oh, okay. I've got my stream software integrated with Patreon, so every time a patron joins, it shows it. But they must have joined in between the last stream and this stream, because it's not coming up here as a notification, is it? Anyway, let me know where you're all coming from. Professor Wally's in the house. Retro Fred. And this is another thing about having the chat on the mid-screen, on a big screen, is I can read the frigging thing. Normally, I have to have it over here. I mean, this is a 22-inch monitor over here, Iliama one. But still, it's quite far away on my desk. But this monster is so big that I don't even have to inflate the text, and I can see everything, read people's usernames, read the chat, and not be like, you know. Anyway, Retro Fred, welcome. 23 UVerse, regular, and I also like pointing at you rather than over there, because you're not over there, are you? You're over there. Midnight Shift. Oh, JW, good morning, BlockSafe and George. Well, George's not here yet. I've got now, this monitor over here is dedicated to Skype, so I can keep a look at that without having to, you know, move windows up and down and so on. You should see. I mean, maybe I should do a studio tour. If you want a studio tour, let me know. Hit the like button or post in the chat. Let me know. Hey, there's Professor Wally. See, that's what happens. Professor Wally's in. I haven't done anything yet, and he's already tipping me, so I very much appreciate that. Straight in with a $4.99 tip. Thank you very much, Professor Wally. Did you ask a question, mate? Oh yes, you did. Testing out the tip jar and reminding people to hit the like button. Learn, earn, and don't get burnt. That's his catchphrase for the old Gunbot University. And also, Professor Wally, what are you doing, mate? Look, you were bashing yourself. Why are you still hitting yourself? You know, self-harming. Don't do that. But I appreciate it anyway. So where's everyone else coming from? Stuart McLeod, that is, isn't it? Stuart McLeod, I believe. So yeah, let me know if you want me to do a studio tour thing, because I'm rapidly outgrowing this studio. To be honest, it's this room, and it's reasonably big, but I'm starting to have to use the same space for multiple things. Like I'm starting to explore high fidelity, and the reason I'm exploring high fidelity is because they had a $35 million investment, right, from one of the EOS VC companies, and they are going to use the EOS blockchain. I was speaking to when I was hanging out with Omar yesterday, who his avatar is this blue. It's a knight, the blue knight, and I just used one of the basic ones. I was some blue Power Ranger or something. Anyway, we went and spoke to the CEO of High Fidelity, like in High Fidelity, the reality, after the town hall meeting, and this was the guy that founded Second Life and now has founded High Fidelity. Anyway, because I'm a massive EOS fan, and because High Fidelity are integrating with EOS, I figured I need to get ahead of this, right? So I've been figuring out High Fidelity. I'm going to figure out how the token economics works. I'm thinking like, how do I arrange a crypto seminar that I can teach in High Fidelity, so you guys could pay a very small fee, because I won't have to hire a hotel room, will I? And I could do live seminars, interactive seminars. And if I can get a screen at the front, this is all in VR, by the way, I could get a big projector screen at the front, and I could then have everyone sit in a classroom style and then teach crypto concepts, give presentations, and so on. So that's what I'm thinking. You wouldn't have to fly to the UK. I wouldn't have to fly over there. It could be like mind-blowing, right? So yes, that's what we were doing. Crypto and I went to the town hall meeting, had a chat with the CEO, and he was very generous with his time. He hung around for a long time after the town hall meeting, and I feel sorry for the guy, because there was only like 50 people turned out to the town hall meeting, but afterwards there was just like 10 or 12 people trying to get to speak to the guy, all his sort of users, I suppose. But he wasn't impatient with it. That's what I'm getting at. And also, what else did he say? He was really pleased that there were so many new users. Like the organizers of the town hall meeting, they knew who Omar was. So I didn't even know how the hell you knew who was, but you can actually have everyone's name displayed if you want, but it's not by default. So I had to figure that one out. Anyway, I can't remember what's the guy's name. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to figure out what the guy's name is, because he taught us how to inspect. Someone had this little top hat which was a digital asset, and he showed us how to inspect it and pull up the information out of the EOS blockchain and look at the provenance. It was like a digital certificate that said who owned it. So let's see. Omar mentioned the guy's name last night. I'm just going to look on Twitter here. Let's see. Crypto data. Omar Bam. There he is. Philip Rosedale, beg your pardon. Yeah, Philip Rosedale. This is the guy. I'll show you his Twitter profile while we wait for George to hop on over here. So check this out. Boink. So this is the guy. But actually, he looks like that in VR. That's weird. I did wonder that. The leadership team in High Fidelity, they're reasonably similar to that. I mean, his avatar in High Fidelity's got blonde hair, but he doesn't look too dissimilar to that. Now I've never actually seen what it looks like in person before. This is the guy that founded Second Life and was the CEO of Linden and the Linden dollar and all that stuff before founding High Fidelity. So he's got some experience in virtual worlds. Oh, George is here. All right, you ready for George? Do you have your questions ready, ladies and gentlemen? Do you have your questions ready? I have my questions ready. It's quite a few of them. Quite a few questions. Listening from Texas, I've been following you and sharing much of your work. Sharing it? Oh, thank you. With educational Facebook page for 8 to 10 months. Oh, thank you. Harmonious Solutions. Oh, is that your Facebook group? Check out Harmonious Solutions on Facebook. You'll find some crypto-based content in there, apparently. Thank you for sharing your work and wisdom. Well, oh, sorry, Harmonious Solutions is your username as well. 23 Uverse, that's the Second Life guy, yeah? Yes, it is. That is the second. Let's see. And, okay. My streaming software threw up an error message there. What happened to you guys in the chat? Did it pause? Or are we okay? Oh, Jimmy says your coin... Oh, the coin versus coin. Tron versus EOS. Yeah, I like that. That was good, right? I've got tons of other ideas for coin versus coin. So if you want a coin versus coin episode, let me know who you want to battle, and I'll battle them for you. So, no cold tea to this week, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, sorry, Wally. Thanks for that, mate. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. My streaming software just was like, it bugged out, and now I'm back. So it's okay. This is a resilient setup right here. We've got resilience. We can drive over any bump in the road, and we'll be okay. So let's get George on. You know the drill, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call him on Skype. Like this. Call. And then, once I've got him on, I'll unmute the stream so you can hear him. Let's see what we've got. Come on, George. Oh, it says George is not online. What in the earth is going on? Okay. There. George. Where's George gone now? Ruchi Pandy in the live chat says, Chris, George is joining. Yes. Although now he's not showing as being online on Skype, so... Hey. Well, I say maybe the whole internet glitched just now. You know? When I went off, maybe all internet connections went down for 2 seconds. Unlikely. It keeps dropping. Let's have a look at the feed on YouTube. Let's see. Let's see what my upload is. 13 megabits, still good. I've got 20 megabit upload, so I think we should be all right. Still well within parameters. Let's see. Maybe YouTube is having a bug out day. Oh no, it says the stream's healthy. It's receiving it fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Except George is not here. Oh, bothersome. How bothersome. Christopher Martin said keeps dropping. What keeps dropping? Well, I mean, I've got it on normal buffering, so there's like, I don't know, a 5 or 10 second delay between me talking and it being in the live stream, which should go some way to smoothing out any bumps, right? Because YouTube can do some processing in the meantime. It's like beeping swear words on a live show, you know. But hey, we're in a spot of bother right now, because George is MIA. Professor Wally, we have had 2 glitches so far. Maybe Omar infected you, as his last stream kept having issues. Oh dear me. Oh dear. That's not good, is it? Oh dear. Okay, I think Ruchi Pandi in the live chat is from BlockSafe, because it's just said we have Skype difficulties. All right. Okay, fine. We can do this. So, ladies and gents, while we wait to iron this out, I'm sure you have questions about cybersecurity and stuff like that. So if you want me to ask George any questions, put them in the live chat quick, because then I can add them to my document, because I might not be able to keep a close eye on the chat as I speak to George, because I'm a very concentrated kind of guy. Okay, George is back. Let's try him again. Here he comes. It's calling. It's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing. It's gonna work. 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 It's ringing. It's gonna work. 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 It's still ringing. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. Come on, George. Hello, George. Are you there, mate? Can you hear me, George? I can hear you, George. Can you hear me? George, are you there, mate? Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, George? I can hear you, George. I can see you, but you can't hear me by the looks of things. Just one little kink to iron out. We're so close. We're so close. I've got George on Skype. I can see him. I can hear him. But, okay, let's see. Okay, let's type in the chat. Hello, George. Are you there, matey? Lazcara says George has gone to the jungle. Very funny. It's the law of the jungle, isn't it, in crypto? Hello, George. Are you there, mate? Can you hear me now? Excellent, matey. Thank you. How are you? Excellent. Right, so you're not patched into the stream yet. I'll just give you fair warning. Are you ready to be patched in? Okay, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. George, you are now live on the Cryptoverse. Welcome. Say hi to the live audience, please.
Hello, live audience.
There's George. So, George, welcome to the Cryptoverse. Thanks for your time today. Very interested in your expertise and picking your brains today. I've written a number of questions for you. I'm sure we'll have some from the live chat. But how are you finding the crypto bear market, mate?
The crypto market right now, we've never been so busy because everyone wherever we go, and I'm usually out several days a week speaking and meeting people, and everyone's talking about cybersecurity because of all the breaches, and the fact that we are dedicated to preventing these cybersecurity breaches is, everyone wants to talk with us and understand what's going on. There's a big misconception in the industry. Everyone hears the words, wallets are safe. Everyone hears the term that the blockchain is immutable. So what's happened is that this fantastic technology has grown, but no one's really looked at, from a cybersecurity perspective. And because of that, because of the lack of security in that space, all these hacks have been going on. And so what we did was we dedicated BlockSafe Technologies to solving those problems, looking at how the hacks are happening, and then coming up with real-world solutions that will help prevent them.
Do you know what's ironic to me is that one of the main motivations for people switching to blockchain technology in this sort of edge security model and authentication model is security. However, with that seems to have come more security problems, ironically.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you know what? But with the understanding that the blockchain itself
Right.
is extremely secure. The blockchain itself, it is immutable, it is secure. The problem is access to that blockchain. But Chris, if you really look at it, the entire ecosystem, blockchain ecosystem is under attack. And when I use the term ecosystem, so the way we view it, there are three components. There are your wallets, crypto wallets. There are exchanges, and then there are blockchains. And in blockchains, you have your public and your permissioned blockchains. So the wallets themselves are under attack, especially for software wallets, where the hackers are embedding things like malware, keyloggers, and where they're stealing your private key. And the big misconception is most people don't realize that I could put malware on your system, your phone or your desktop, doesn't matter, and I can scoop up your private key. I don't need to decrypt your private key. All I need to do is grab your private key encrypted and then grab your password for your vault.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
And once I have those, I can then basically go in, act as you, and move your money off of the blockchain, from your wallet to my wallet. So protecting your wallet is absolutely critical. And the key component of your wallet is that password, is how you're actually, decrypting your key. So locking down that password is absolutely critical. And that's why what we do is we have a product called the CryptoDefender. And essentially what it does is it encrypts every keystroke on your mobile device or on your desktop at the point when you put your fingertips onto the keyboard. We instantly encrypt each and every keystroke, and then we carry those keystrokes directly into your wallet. We don't hand those keystrokes off to your operating system, because it's operating system that's getting malfaced, or it's getting hacked. It's not necessarily your wallet. It's prior to your wallet. The hackers are grabbing the data, your passwords, down in the operating system, in the kernel of the device.
Right. Okay. So hold up. So how do you get in front of the? Because when you hit a key on, hit a key on the keyboard, obviously the device, the actual hardware device, the keyboard, then sends that down the wire to your computer, right?
Correct.
And then to the software operating system. But I would assume, in the sequence of things, the operating system would get that information before any software that's installed on it, including the CryptoDefender software. But you're saying you can get in the middle of that somehow.
Exactly. So when you think about, if you think about how keyboards or how operating systems and keyboards work, right? So what happens is, when you put your finger on a keyboard and you press a keyboard, you're actually pressing a plastic actuator. Yes. That actuator creates an electrical signal. The electrical signal creates binary codes, zeros and ones. That binary code is then interpreted, and this is a C for Chris. This is an O, an N, and so
Gotcha.
on. So when that binary code is interpreted, that data, those characters, then are told via the keyboard driver which app to go and put those specific keys that you just typed into. Okay. And so then the keyboard driver will take that data, those characters, and say, put this in the browser, or put this in this password vault, or put this in Excel or Outlook, whatever you're typing. So it knows what the focus application is. And then that keyboard driver then takes that character, and it's in clear text now, and that's the problem with operating systems. The data flows in clear text. And then that data will go, so the keyboard driver will say, send this to, it'll push it up to a message filter. And then the message filter will push that character up to a message service. Then the message service will carry that character up to the application layer, basically whatever app you type it in, and then tuck it into that app. So there's a lot of processes in there. So the way I always describe it is like a relay race. Most people know you watch a relay race. The gun goes off, someone starts off with a baton in their hand, they're running, and then they hand that baton to the second person. Second person runs, hands it to the third to the fourth runs through the finish line. Well, the same exact thing happens inside of your computer or your phone. When you type, it's like the gun going off. There's a process that happens. And so what the hackers learned a long time ago is that they could embed their software that basically key logs that data stream between the keyboard right after it's interpreted and before it gets into the actual application itself. Mm-hmm. And that's where they're grabbing the data. And whatever data is, if it's your credentials, if it's your credit card number, it's your date of birth, your ID, or some other, whatever data you type in. Gotcha. So they grab that data, and then once they have that data, they obviously can then go and do the things that they do with your data. But if it's your credentials, then they have your credentials. If they know where you're logging in, if they see your VPN connection or anything else, then they gather in all this information to basically masquerade as you. And Chris, over the last 8 years, the majority, 90+% of the breaches around the world, 90+% are directly related to malware, spyware. Mm-hmm. And of those, it's somewhere like 85 to 90% that a keylogger was one of the components. It's not the only one, but it's one of the components that is used by hackers to be able to steal your credentials and then log in as you.
Someone in the live chat has actually said something to that effect. They said, most funds get stolen by phishing attacks, not keyloggers. Whereas they're both, to my mind, they are two components of the same attack. You use phishing to get the keylogger on the computer, but let me answer that.
Yes, you said exactly. So you will see multiple types of phishing attacks. So in the majority of the phishing attacks, what they're doing is they're doing exactly what you said. They're basically sending you, an email, and the email has malware in it, and you're downloading it. And then there's also where you'll get a phishing attack, and then you'll think you're logging into your bank. They'll send you to a spoof site, and they'll get your credentials that way also. But in the world of in cryptocurrency, bringing it back around, they don't want to send you. There is no spoof site there. So they want to inject malware into, for example, a Chrome extension so that they can pick up your private key. Mm-hmm. And then, meanwhile, they use the keylogger to grab your password.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So keyloggers have been around forever, right? It's just, I suppose that now we've got this digital value. The value of keyloggers has skyrocketed.
Yeah, there's millions of them out there on the market, literally millions. I was reading several of the major antivirus reports. I review them every week, updates. And last year there was over 500 million new malware variants put on the internet. Mm-hmm. 500 million. So those guys are pretty busy. And the problem that the world has, unfortunately, is that most people rely on things like antivirus. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a big advocate of antivirus, so I want to say that. But antivirus is limited, very limited, in what it can do. Antivirus cannot stop what it doesn't know about. Antivirus was developed to basically stop known viruses, known and cataloged viruses. And if I'm a hacker, I'm not going to send around a known virus to someone. I'm going to create something new. I'm going to send something new out that no one knows about.
Right.
And then as soon as it reaches their device, it automatically infects that device because that device doesn't know that it's bad.
Sure. Doesn't have a definition for it, to use the technical term, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the formula. That's the magic formula that the hackers learned about around 7-8 years ago. That's why prior to 7 or 8 years ago, prior to that, we rarely ever heard of a hack. You never heard of a hack. And yeah, of course, the internet and not as many places were online, 20 years ago. But prior to 7-8 years ago, there was a lot of places online, banks and all that stuff. But you rarely heard of a hack because the hackers hadn't perfected the use of the keylogger, and the fact that everyone brought all this data online and assets, inclusive of crypto, they realized, wow, we can really benefit by using a keylogger. And they get very sophisticated too. There are keyloggers that change their, polymorphic, where they actually change their own signatures every day.
Wow.
Yeah, and this way, essentially, when it gets on your system will no antivirus will ever find it because it's constantly changing its own definition on a daily, weekly basis, and therefore it'll never be found. Mm-hmm. So they're pretty dangerous. They're extremely dangerous. That's why 90% of the hacks in the world included a keylogger.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It reminds me of my days as a computer engineer. Sometimes someone would bring a computer in that had been infected with a virus, and the first thing it did was turn off their antivirus. And then even if we tried to install an antivirus from a different manufacturer, it just wouldn't let it because it already knew, it recognized McAfee Antivirus, Norton, it knew the installers for those programs. It just wouldn't let it happen. And we were like, okay, we're pretty screwed. We're going to have to format the hard drive and reinstall Windows from scratch or something, right? Which was interesting. I like that polymorphic thing, though. It's almost like changing your DNA so you can't get recognized.
Absolutely. And, you said something interesting just a second ago. So not only do they prevent antiviruses from, attacking it, but they also will, when you go to format your hard drive, when you just said formatting it, they actually built intelligence in it and says, if Chris goes to format his hard drive, mm-hmm. take the virus, encrypt it, grab a sector on the hard drive, gotcha. lock it down so it can't be decrypted, then allow Chris to format his hard drive, and after he formats it, reinstall itself.
So just go hibernate for a minute while you mess about with your computer.
Exactly.
That's killer. I never had anything like that before.
Oh boy, Chris, there's a lot of those out there. You got to see them out there. Yeah, if those guys only turned, their knowledge to good, we would be a much, safer world.
Right. Sure. So you can validate my understanding here of cybersecurity. So my belief right now, and this is what I teach people anyway, the actual technology, the encryption technology and so on right now is very secure. So my belief is that hackers are opportunistic and they are largely profit seeking. So they'll only they'll only work as hard as they need to get the outcome, which let's assume they want money, right? So mm-hmm. attacking the modern encryption technology and the actual security systems themselves is high effort, low chance for success, right? So exactly. Am I right in saying that the vast majority of attackers nowadays are going for not software attacks, but the soft bit, which is the human bit? It's much easier to exploit the person and get them to unlock the front door to Fort Knox and just walk right through.
Yep. The human is the weakest link in the chain.
Right.
And by the way, but I also want to say this, with that, no one should ever be embarrassed or mad or upset, that somehow malware got on their system, right? We don't want people to feel that they're at fault mm-hmm. because these these hackers are extremely good. They are well funded and financed, whether it's a nation state hacking, for Bitcoins, or it's an organized crime.
Private enterprise almost, right?
Right. They are very good at getting malware in your system. And by the way, there are things that us as humans, we're the weakest link, also can't avoid. For example, a drive-by. So in a drive-by attack, and this is, sometimes I tell this to people and it's just a mind-boggling. So in a drive-by, a hacker will, let's say, take a popular site that a lot of people go to. And it's happened several times. I live in New York, so it's happened several times in NBC.com. Okay. So the hackers will go to NBC.com, so a site that a lot of people go to, and they'll actually exploit they'll hack for example, their Apache server. And they will exploit an exploit on the Apache server, and they'll put malware on that Apache server. And so you're saying, why would they hack a site like NBC.com? Well, first of all, a lot of people go there. And then secondly, what happens is when innocent person just navigates to www.nbc.com, instantly their computer is infected. And by the way, they didn't have to click on a link. They didn't have to click on a video. They didn't have to click on anything. By navigating to that site, they were automatically infected. And as soon as their browser connects, the malware exploit will exploit, a browser exploit and instantly drop something like a keylogger malware down onto your computer. Mm-hmm. And that keylogger will analyze knows how to avoid detection from antivirus. So hackers are taking advantage of things like, drive-bys, and they are exploiting legitimate sites. So you and I, how can we not go to legitimate websites?
Well, you trust them, don't you?
So if you go to a legitimate website and you get infected, well, that's not your fault. I mean, shame on you if you get an email saying, I'm a diplomat from a country, and I need to move money, and you're going to be the lucky recipient of $5 million, and you fall for that trick, right? Right. Shame on you if you do that. Or someone says, I'm a relative of yours, and I'm caught up in a country. I lost my wallet. Please send me money. Right. Stuff like that. You should know. Don't avoid those things. But the legitimate things, by going to a very legitimate, well-known website, you and I can't, there's nothing we can do. If you have to go to that website or you go to that website, there's no shame in going to that website. And if you're infected, that unfortunately is the problem that we'll face, is that we just don't know what is vulnerable and not. And I'm going to give you even a crazier one, Chris. Okay. For several years, there's here in the Northeast in the U.S. There are very large retailers, and one of the retailers, they were selling for over 2 holidays in a row. They were selling those square digital picture frames. So you put a digital picture frame on your desk and you download your pictures. What no one knew for quite a while is that the hackers actually found out who made that digital picture frame for the retailer. They hacked their website and they embedded a keylogger into the digital picture frame. Wow. So now it got packed up and it got distributed out there, and everyone over the holidays was buying those digital picture frames. You either buy them for yourself or someone as a gift. You give it to them, they go home. First thing they do is they plug it into their laptop or their desktop to upload pictures on it. Well, as soon as you plugged it in, it instantly downloaded a keylogger onto your laptop. And all you did was you took a device that you just unwrapped. You broke the shrink wrap and you put it on your desk to upload pictures, and you just got served malware. And Chris, I have so many stories like that. HP, fantastic company. They delivered several years ago. Hackers broke in and they delivered malware. They embedded malware onto USB sticks. Mm-hmm. And who doesn't think twice when they walk into a retail store, about grabbing a USB stick off of one of the shelves because you want to put some stuff on it, right? Who thinks twice about opening up that shrink wrap and plugging it in? Well, what we all have to think about is that whether it's a picture frame, whether it's a USB stick, whether it's an external hard drive, any and all of them could have been tampered with, and now they are harbingers of malware. And there's nothing that you and I can do about that. So our approach is assume that everything that you touch, everywhere you go online, everything you look at and open up, assume that it is a harbinger of malware. And you have to protect yourself with the understanding that if you weren't infected, you're going to get infected.
Okay. Assume everything is compromised.
Yes.
I'm just making a note of that. Okay. So if we assume everything's compromised, how do we then conduct ourselves from there?
So you got to look at what are they doing, right? So, if you follow the trends, the two biggest trends are they either want to do ransomware to you, lock up your hard drive, and just lock down your hard drive and tell you they want X amount of bitcoins or whatever sent somewhere, or they want to steal from you.
Okay. And
in the majority of the time, it's the stealing from you which is more profitable for them. So that's what they do. That's why they put keyloggers. The keyloggers just lay in wait, and now the keyloggers are so sophisticated, they're actually designed to say, you know what, I don't want everything that Chris is typing because it's just too much stuff. Only turn on when you see www.xbank.com. Now they know they're going to get your credentials. Or only copy when you see a 17-digit number and the 4 numbers after that. What is that? That's your credit card number. Or a 9-digit number, they know that's your social security number. Or whenever there's a password field, automatically copy that. So the keyloggers, they're actually building sophistication into them so that they could do multiple things and they could parse that data, because this way they don't have to filter through all of that data. They just get the data that they want.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So how do we create a bubble around us so that wherever we go we can be
protected?
Yeah.
So what we do, Chris, is we looked at this problem and we started, building this solution a while ago because we looked at the problem and we realized that the world doesn't need another antivirus. Okay. And there's enough of them out there. And so when we looked at it, we were saying, well, what do the hackers actually want? Why are they breaching your system? They're breaching because they want to steal data, right? So they want to steal everything that you type in. They want to steal your passwords because, putting a script on your computer or your phone that can go down and grab a password file is simple for them. Or not a password file, a private key. That's an easy thing. Just grabbing files, because you could look at, you grab a wallet, look at how they structure it, and look where they put the private key. And again, you don't need to decrypt the key, you just need to grab the key. So that's a simple thing for a hacker. Okay. The more sophisticated is I got to grab that password, and that's where a keylogger comes in. So that's why they started looking at, we're going to use keyloggers to steal the data, because that's really how I want to, make money. I want to steal from Chris. So what we did was we said, wow, you know what? Antivirus is out there to prevent. It's like a moat around around your castle, right? They're going to try and prevent them from coming in. But hackers, they can dig under the moat. They can go over the moat with a drive-by. It's kind of like a Trojan horse. You're going to let the person in through the front gate, right? Because you think it's safe. And so what we realized is that there is no way of preventing malware from ever getting on your system. And by the way, we don't prevent it either, because you can't prevent it from getting on your system. So what we did was we said, what are the malware writers actually looking to do? And when we realized that the majority of the breaches, they were stealing your credentials, and let's say your password for your token for your private key, we realized what we needed to do is assume your device was infected, but yet protect you. So we looked at how the computer actually creates data and how data flows in your computer from the time your fingertips touch the keyboard on up to the time the data gets into that application, because the hackers are stealing it between the application and the keyboard. So they're wedging themselves, we'll call it a man in the middle, right? They're in between your application and in between your keyboard. They're somewhere stuck in between there. So when we looked at it, we said, our CTO, he had that aha moment. He's like, wow, here's how we can prevent them. We can't stop you from getting a keylogger, but we can prevent the keylogger from basically stealing the data, what it was designed to do, by encrypting each and every keystroke at the point of entry. When your fingertips touch, essentially our CryptoDefender, by the way, it protects more than just your crypto wallet. It protects 100% of your device. So even when you're logging in, we're encrypting your credentials when you're just logging into your computer, and then everything after, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all your browser transactions, we're encrypting everything. But we designed it specifically, so the byproduct is it protects everything, but we designed it around protecting your crypto wallet. So essentially, when you type on your keyboard, CryptoDefender instantly encrypts those keystrokes. So we are down in the kernel, and essentially when you type, you're actually typing into our CryptoDefender, and our CryptoDefender will encrypt that keystroke right then and there. And instead of sending a keystroke up the old pathway where you normally went. And some people would say, well, that's good enough because it's encrypted. You're sending it up that path instead of in clear text. It's encrypted. We don't even want to go to that level. We actually go further. We actually built our own message stack. We go around the keyloggers, and then we go directly up into the application itself, and only we, CryptoDefender, decrypts it directly into your target application. So essentially, we don't even give the hackers, the keyloggers, a chance to actually even see encrypted keystrokes. We just don't let them see anything. So we encrypt, we reroute, and then we decrypt. And at the same time, we run a screen scraper, an anti-screen scraper, in the background so that they can't take images of your screen as well. Because when you open up certain applications, your whole portfolio, your whole profile's there, your name, address, all this stuff. So we also prevent them from taking screenshots.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And we do that on both desktops. We do that on Windows desktops. We do it on Apple desktops. And for mobile, what we did was we worked closely with the operating system on Android, and actually built our own encrypted keyboard. So on a mobile device, you actually download our keyboard, and it goes on your device, and our keyboard binds directly to each of your applications on there. So when you're typing into our CryptoDefender keyboard, that data is being tunneled directly into the target application.
That you actually partially answered the question I was going to ask next, which was, so I'm looking at my Corsair gaming keyboard on my desk here, right? It's great, it's got good features, it's got, RGB lighting, brilliant. But couldn't they, if the will was there and if the incentive were high enough, start building this stuff into the devices? Would that help?
You talk about from the manufacturer's perspective?
Yeah, so like the hardware, before the signal leaves the actual hardware, it would send it down my USB cable encrypted.
Yes, that would definitely help, without a doubt.
Okay. What about hardware wallets? Aren't they the solution to all this?
Hardware wallets are significantly more secure than software wallets. So from that perspective, but with a hardware wallet, you are still typing in things like your password. So the hackers, as we always say, you can never say never. And hackers have a way, everything that's been thrown out there, the hackers have figured out how to get around it, how to get through it, how to socially re-engineer the problem to get your private password, to get your, let's say, your private key. So they're going to get your password. They're going to use a keylogger. They're going to figure out how to get to your key, and they're going to essentially eventually and essentially get your tokens. So hardware wallets are safer, without a doubt. Without a doubt, we're a big proponent of hardware wallets, but nothing is 100%.
I still don't see how it's possible with a hardware wallet, because let me walk you through the scenario of me using my Ledger Nano S hardware wallet, right? So I load up the software application. It's called Ledger Live. You can either choose to put a password on that or not, and the only purpose of the password there is to hide your portfolio values. But even if you don't put a password on there and then someone walks up to your computer, opens up Ledger Live, they can't do anything except to view your account balances, right? So
Correct.
That's that part. So let's say I just go without the password, so that can't be logged anyway. The private key is in the secure element on the hardware device itself. It needs to be connected to the computer. So I do that. The first thing my device asks me for on the screen in the device is a PIN to unlock the device. So I put that in. I mean, no keylogger, no malware can access that, right?
That's incorrect. They'll use screen scrapers to monitor that PIN.
Well, no, it's on the screen on the device though, and they can't install software on the device.
I thought you meant like when you put it in, if you're using an OSK on your, the onboard screen, the onboard keyboard on your desktop.
No, I'm talking
You're
about
talking about it in the device, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, my ledger is unlocked. None of that information can be leaked, and then when I propose a transaction through the software, it can't even do things like clipboard monitoring, where you do that man in the middle thing, where you paste a destination address and it swaps it out. You can't even do that, because when I propose a transaction, say send this 5 Bitcoin from my Ledger wallet to Binance Exchange, well, you propose that, and then each element of the transaction appears on the device screen. Like it says, this is the fee you're about to pay, this is the address it's going to, this is the amount. Do you confirm or not? So if at that point the destination key has been swapped out, I verify it on the device before it signs that transaction, and I could just decline it. So I just can't see how anyone would get around that.
I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing on the hardware wallet side, absolutely. Okay. I'm talking about on the software wallet side.
Well, why not just tell people not to use them? That's what I do.
Well, you're not going to. What are you going to do? 7 billion people aren't buying hardware wallets. All right. True. The convenience of a software wallet, and then you got to have a backup. And what happens if then you got to buy 2 devices? And a lot of people, they're expensive and they can't necessarily afford 2 of them. Gotcha. And if you lose the one, what are you going to do? That's why having a software wallet is so convenient. But software, each of them have their own pluses and minuses. Mm-hmm. So from the strictly hacking perspective, a hardware wallet is better, absolutely positively, than a software wallet. Yes. But a hardware wallet also presents its own issues about backup, and you got to have 2 of them. And if you only have one and you lose it, then what do? Right? Absolutely. So it's a very inconvenient. The hardware wallet is far more inconvenient, and you have to be concerned. You have other concerning factors about it, whereas a software wallet is much easier, but then it has its own challenges, right? Sure. Yeah. So it's, I hate to use the word poison, but it's which poison, you got to pick your poison, which one you want to deal with, because I know people that have hardware wallets, and they wake up on like a daily basis, checking their bag to make sure their hardware wallet's still in there. And they get freaked out if they misplace it, or, oh my God, what I do with my wallet. So then you get into this, I got to worry about it all the time type of thing, right? Well, what we're saying is, from a software perspective, what we've done is we've taken that huge concern about where's my wallet, and I got to buy a backup, and or I'm someplace where I don't have my wallet, but I got to do a transaction. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do, right? I mean, the beauty of a laptop, a phone, and the internet or connection is that you could do anything from any place, anytime, anywhere. Sure. So again, it's a matter of your lifestyle, and what's the convenience factor How much do you worry about it? Do you lock it up in a safe? What happens if someone gets it out of a safe? If it's not in a safe, and if I'm out and I'm out at the pub, I'm having a couple of beers and I dropped it, or I left it in a different jacket, it does bring a certain amount of certain level of anxiety with having a wallet that you have to worry about where it physically is.
I got you. Absolutely. That was actually a good answer. I thought I'd stumped you for a second there, but that was actually a very good answer. The answer I'm going to take from that is look, let's face it, hardware wallets are not suitable for everybody. When crypto goes to Africa, for example, you're not going to get every African buying friggin' Ledger Nano S's. They're going to use their phones, right?
Exactly.
Whether they know hardware wallets are more secure or not, they ain't going to use them. Right? It's just too inconvenient, right? And also the cost and blah, blah, blah. So from that point of view, yes, hardware wallets might win if we were playing top trumps. It might win on the security angle. However, that might not be enough for enough people to select them as their primary storage method and will opt for a software wallet. And those are the people that perhaps will come and use your technologies. Like there's actually someone in the chat who says, I've used BlockSafe, Strikeforce Technologies, Guarded ID, and Mobile Trust for 2 years. So these kind of technologies. So do you want to talk about the actual tools that you offer?
Well, sure, yeah, absolutely, and those are our products. That what the gentleman, whoever's in your chat room, saying that Guarded ID and Mobile Trust. So BlockSafe is we're a company dedicated to cybersecurity for the blockchain ecosystem. So we do have a parent company. It is Strikeforce Technologies. Strikeforce is the inventor of keystroke encryption. And Strikeforce built and patented keystroke encryption, which is for both desktop computers and mobile devices. Okay. When we saw what was going on in the blockchain ecosystem, Strikeforce actually decided to create a subsidiary company, because Strikeforce is very horizontal. They deal with everything from government to manufacturing to automotive to financial services to healthcare. So Strikeforce deals with all these different verticals, and because cybersecurity is really it's horizontal, right? It's not vertically driven. But Strikeforce works through this channel program, and they work through many different industries. But when we saw what was going on in the blockchain ecosystem, we felt strong enough to say, you know what, we need to actually dedicate a company with people where that's all they do is protect that very unique industry, which is the blockchain ecosystem, the blockchain, blockchain and crypto world. Gotcha. So what we do is we've developed a set of products that we got from the parent company, and we're actually building additional products. So the product lineup goes like this. So for that first part, when I described the three, so there's your wallets, your exchanges, and your blockchains. So for the wallets, whether it's wallets on your desktop or mobile device, we took our so on a desktop in the parent company, we call it Guarded ID. And what we did was we took that product and we modified it directly, specifically for the crypto space, to do things like, for example, you mentioned it before, when you're in, if you have, there's malware that will change the send to address, right? So we've taken
the Windows clipboard thing.
Yeah. They go into clipboard, exactly, and they modify it. So we actually took our product and actually built it to specifically protect. One of the features is to protect that clipboard. Mm-hmm. And I demonstrate this every day, and all of a sudden, when you see the clipboard, when you copy and paste, it's a completely different key.
I've seen your 6-minute video on the website where you walk through that, actually.
Yeah, and I actually demonstrate that. So we have our CryptoDefender for wallets. And then what we did was we looked at exchanges, and we said, exchanges, they had over $1 billion of breaches last year. I think it was like 1.1 billion. And we said, how can we help those exchanges? And then we started analyzing, again, what are they really going for, and how are they getting there? Just don't throw a fence around something. thinking you're going to stop the problems. You got to analyze and see what the problem really is and build a solution that can do that. So what we did was we said, all right, so how are the hackers, breaching all these, the BitGrails and the BitBumps and all of these different, all these different exchanges. And Chris, we've been reading a lot of forensics on these breaches. And in the majority of them, not all, but the majority of them, the hackers are using malware. They're using malware to, guess what? To grab the keystrokes of the employee. And they're basically logging into the network. And so that's one of the big problems. So our CryptoDefender, what we've done for the exchanges, we bundled two products. We took our CryptoDefender to protect those network employees so that when they're logging in remotely, they're not, their credentials aren't being captured. And then we bundled it with our out-of-band authentication. Now, a parent company, when it was started with the first product that we ever built was an out-of-band authentication technology. Chris, I've been following you for some time. While you and I have never spoken, I actually know that you have used one of our technologies. Have you ever tried to dial into a website and it sends a 6-digit code to your phone?
Of course, yeah.
Well, we are the inventors of that, the parent company. So we are the inventors of what we call out-of-band authentication. We have multiple patents on it. And essentially, we invented using a phone for the purpose of two-factor authentication. And so what we did was we bundled our authentication platform with our keystroke encryption so that we can help exchanges, one, make sure that anything that the person's typing isn't keylogged, and two, that they're truly doing strong two-factor out-of-band authentication to log into their network. And what I mean by out-of-band is, and this is worth a quick mention, is that most people think, all right, I get a code sent to my phone, I just put it in, back on my computer and I log in, I'm safe. Yes, that's safe. That's safer than not having a code. Absolutely, positively. Because the server on the other side is looking for that code that you're going to deliver. So the server on the other side is looking for a username, it's looking for a password, and it's going to look for a 6-digit code, right? And that server knows at the time that Chris is logging in, it's going to give me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and expects it. And if it gets it, it lets you in. But what we really pioneered, Chris, and what's very important about our technology is we actually pioneered a thing called out-of-band authentication. So what happens is I pull up my browser or my VPN client, I put my username and password in here, and I hit the send button, so it goes off. When it gets to the server on the other side, that server will talk to our software, and we call it Protect ID. Our Protect ID will then place a physical call to my phone, and all of a sudden, my phone will ring. So here, I set my username and password here, then my phone rings. Then when I look at it, if it's a push message, it'll say something like, George, please swipe your finger to authenticate, or it'll say, please swipe your face or your iris or some other biometric. The point is that second credential goes over this.
Actually, so that is how I secure my Google Apps account. Whenever I log in from a new device, I have to use the Google app on my phone to do that authentication. It goes straight to my phone though, right? It's not an SMS.
Right. And it sends back over your phone. So we are the inventor and patent holder of that.
Okay, sweet.
So those two combined, we work with exchanges. We want to work with exchanges to say, hey guys, here's how to protect your employees, because realize something, you guys have the biggest targets on your back of wall. Right? Because think about when you get an exchange. What happens when they get into exchange? Tens of millions of dollars, right? It's like they hit the lottery times 10.
Absolutely.
So that's why you have to have the strongest. You got to protect everything that they're typing on the keyboards, and then you also got to have the strongest authentication. So those two things go hand in glove. Then for blockchains, now. This is when we started the show. We started talking about this. In the blockchain side, we started looking at it, and we started looking at permission blockchains, and we started looking at public blockchains. And we gravitated instantly towards the permission side. And so we are building a solution for the permission side right now. And the reason is because it's the permission side is where the hackers, well, first of all, it's the fastest growing part of the blockchain, or the aspect of the blockchain. It's because every company wants to become more profitable, more efficient, more productive. They want to become more streamlined. They want everyone to be able to see all the data all the time in real time. It really helps a company truly interact and conduct business in a very efficient way. Well, what we found is that when we started looking at the blockchain, we realized that the blockchain itself is immutable and secure. However, access to that blockchain, there's no access to that blockchain. In other words,
Right.
there's no gatekeeper for that blockchain. So if I get on your corporate network, and here's the problem, your blockchain generally is going to be on your corporate network. So if I can break through your corporate network, defenses, which obviously with all these breaches is kind of simple, right? All these breaches every day is because they're breaching the corporate network. So if I get through that corporate network, literally, and I find the folks that are on your blockchain, I can basically put malware in a device, and now I can get onto your blockchain. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we realized that the blockchain needed the same types of solutions that corporate networks have, but specific to the blockchain. So when you think about a corporate network, what do they have? Well, they have, you can deploy multi-factor authentication on your network. You can deploy transaction verification on your network. On your network, you can have firewalls, you have load balancers. On your network, you could have content filtering. So what we did was we started to build what we're building it right now. It's called a blockchain defender. So think of, here is my D app or my Web3J app, right? Mm-hmm. And here's my blockchain. What we did was, because there was nothing to stop, if I basically can log on to here without any challenge, that's a problem. Especially imagine I'm a legitimate blockchain user. I go on it and my computer's infected, right? Because I was just on a site, I didn't realize, or I just downloaded something and I just got infected. Well, now, theoretically, I could put malware onto my blockchain by logging onto it. And that's a problem, right? And what are you going to do if malware gets onto your blockchain? You can't take malware. There is no antivirus that takes, a virus off of a blockchain. There's no such animal. So what we did was we realized that there are a certain amount of tools and utilities that every company deploying a permission blockchain needs to lock down that blockchain. So our blockchain defender is basically, there are 7 features of it, and we'll be building more, but the 7 features are, so we have a firewall built in specific to that blockchain. We have, the biggest thing is that it has it has rules and roles engines. So with a rule and role engine, you could, a blockchain administrator can now say, when Chris logs into the blockchain, allow Chris to do any transactions that he wants. Or a blockchain administrator could say, you know what, Chris is only allowed to do these types of transactions because here's your app, here's your blockchain. What we're doing is we're coming in between them. So now there's 3 components there. There's your blockchain app, there's our blockchain defender, then there's your blockchain. So there are 3 components, and we sit in between your app and your blockchain.
For permissions.
And we parse everything, every bit of data that goes through there. So now you as a blockchain administrator can say, hey, you know what? If Chris goes to move coins out of our wallet, if it's under $50,000, no problem. But if it's over $50 million, I think the CEO or someone else might want to know about that, right? So you could actually now put the condition in there to say, hey, if Chris is trying to move, $5 million or $50 million worth of coins or money from a bank account or something else, notify either one, ask Chris, is he really doing that? And guess what? It will then send an out-of-band request to Chris where he has to verify it, and that's, again, the rules and roles capability, to say, all right, here's how I want to, here are the conditions and the way I want transactions to transact. So we're giving that blockchain administrator, that company, the ability to lock down their blockchain down to the point of where we'll even look at every bit and byte and make sure that it's sanitized and that you're not putting malware on there. So that if someone was to log onto that blockchain with malware on a device, it's not going to infect it. So we're actually going to have a content filter sit between that app and your blockchain that's going to that's basically going to monitor that data that's going through there and make sure that there's nothing in there that could infect your blockchain. So our blockchain defender is, I always liken it to this. If you have a house or an apartment, before you go out, and let's say you have a safe inside, people don't lock their doors, lock their windows, but leave their safe wide open, right? Why? Because there's a good chance that someone could break through the door, break through the window, get inside. If the safe is wide open, they could steal everything. Well, we feel the same way about your blockchain. Even though you have a corporate network security, that's not enough. Now we're going to provide you the ability to apply the same types of security capabilities, but now specifically to your blockchain.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. There's actually one last segment I want to talk about before we close today, which is I noticed that you guys are doing an STO.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? Can you talk about that for us? A security token offering?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, and thank you for asking about it. So we're very excited about it. So our STO, you're absolutely right. It is a security token offering. And so our parent company is a public company. And Strikeforce has been around for 18 years. Strikeforce has been public for 14 years. So, we file every quarter, every, 10Qs, 10Ks, everything else. So we are as legitimate as you can. We've dedicated our lives to cybersecurity. We've dedicated our lives to making the world a safer place for people to compute at Strikeforce. Then when we opened up BlockSafe, we looked at, we want to do the same thing, but for the blockchain and crypto world, right? Make sure that everyone is safe as they can be. And we're dedicated to it. And we have a group of people that are dedicated to BlockSafe only. So when we did that, we decided, how do we raise money? Because we want to put on a bunch more people to finish off other products. So you do an STO. And our STO is a very interesting one because the first we went to our attorneys and said, as the parent, as a public company, we want to basically be as compliant as we are. We don't want to do one of these ICOs that you're hearing everyone, things about. How do we do this in a way that the US SEC is happy? And they basically said, you do an STO. And so we filed with the SEC. So we are doing a 506C here in the United States, and we're doing a Reg S offshore to raise monies. And what's really unique about our token offering is we are offering our tokens. Our token is called BSafe. And by the way, it just happened to be perfect with the name BlockSafe. So we call it BSafe token. The great thing about our token is that our token is a revenue generation token. So unlike other utility tokens out there, with our token, you get to, when you purchase our tokens, essentially you're going to get a revenue from our tokens from the sales of the company. So on a quarterly basis, all of our sales, 10% of all of the sales automatically go back to all of the token holders. 10%. So we took 10% top line sales and we're going to give them instantly back every 90 days to every one of the token holders. So our token is a revenue generation token, and it's going to pay back to token holders. And by the way, since we're going to have 3 products and potentially even build more, we also said that even if a major company came in and bought out one of those products, we look at that as sales. 10% of that goes out to all the token holders also. Okay. So we're always going to pay back to token holders. And so we started our STO. We just launched our website recently. We started a couple months ago, but we just launched our website where people can go to our BlockSafeTech.io site where they can buy our tokens. And so we started that. We're very excited about that. We've been pretty successful at it so far, and we're looking for people to participate. Come on this mission with us. Our mission is to make the blockchain ecosystem safer for everyone to be involved. whether it's in the crypto wallet side, whether it's in the exchange side, whether it's in the blockchain side. We welcome people to come in, ask us, participate, buy our tokens. And the great thing about it is our tokens, because they're going to pay you back every quarter, our tokens are what we feel and what other analysts that work with us to develop this whole concept of revenue generation tokens, everyone feels that's going to really help the value of the token once it hits the secondary market. And that's basically, automatically that happens in 1 year from when you buy the tokens to the secondary market. So everyone feels that concept is going to create strong value for the token, because people don't get rid of something that every 90 days is making them money.
Well, true.
So and you don't have to, generally when you go out and you look at, even if you look at, for example, just an equity token, right? You go and you look at some ICO or STO and you look at an equity token. The only way you make money on an equity token is if the company is bought out or they go public. Mm-hmm. That's it. Otherwise, what good is equity? Whether it was 1% of the company or 99% of the company, if you can't do anything with it, then what good is it? So with our token, every 90 days you're going to be making money on everyone that's basically buying our software. You're going to get a profit, a part of that profit from everyone buying the software.
How are you creating the token? Is it an Ethereum job?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an ERC20.
Someone in the live chat says, are US citizens allowed to participate in BSafe?
Yes. So if you are a U.S. citizen, they have to be an accredited person. There's three. The SEC has their three components of what accreditation means. So yes, as long as you're an accredited investor, you can participate in the United States. If you're outside the United States, then you don't have to be accredited.
Okay,
but
so I'm in the UK, so it doesn't matter.
Outside the United States if you're not outside the US.
So in the UK, I can just participate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. And these quarterly, revenue share, how do you pay that out? So I assume you're selling the token in exchange for the ETH. Is that correct?
Yeah, we actually for our tokens, we accept Bitcoin Cash, ETH, Ripple, and Litecoin.
Okay.
So they can, any of those denominations can go into our account. And what we're doing is we're literally setting up a multiple of ways to pay people back on a quarterly basis. So if someone wants it in tokens, for example, we can pay them back in tokens. If someone wants, if you've got someone that says, hey, I want to get a check, right? And you know what, we'll send a check, or if they need a wire or something like that. We're going to be very open and flexible on how to give people back, their quarterly revenues. Most of the people that have come to us said, hey, can you just always double down and put that right back into tokens? And the answer is yes. You can put that back into tokens.
Reinvest, basically.
Exactly. So
which you can do with equities and index funds anyway, right? In the traditional space.
Yep. So we're very open to working with folks, and the goal here is to we want to make this we want you to come on this mission with us, and we want you to help us make this mission truly a worldwide mission of making the world safer for people working, with blockchain, cryptocurrencies, exchanges. And that's why what we also want to do is work with, for example, the wallet providers. It's not just about us selling our product directly to the users. It's also, we'd love to work with the wallets. We'd love to work with exchanges, because, our technologies can help those wallets. We also have SDKs of our technology. Mm-hmm. So a wallet could look at our technology and they could work with us, and they could embed our keyboard directly right into their software. Okay. If they have a mobile app, or they can they can put it on as part of a download from when they're gonna log on from their desktop. So the point is, we can help wallets become more secure their users. And by the way, wallets are safe, and I love wallet providers. I talk with a lot of them. They're great people, love what they do. The problem is that hackers come in below the wallet, right? They infect the hardware, which is below the wallet itself. That's why, we make such a great complementary product to them, and we could work with them, and we want to work with wallet providers. We also want to work with exchanges because not only can we help their employees from multiple, from authentication and anti-key logging, but we could also work with the exchange. Our system has the ability, check this out, to actually place a real-time transaction verification. So an exchange can use our technology to literally, when Chris is doing a transaction and you're doing a wallet transaction, literally the exchange could use our technology to literally place that same, as you described on the Google Authenticator before, but using our Protect ID to place a call or a push message out to your phone saying, Chris, would you please authorize 5 Bitcoins to be moved out of your wallet? And that could come from the exchange. So our technology we have all the APIs to be interfaced and integrated directly with all of these exchanges to be able to provide them that real-time transaction verification. And obviously, we want to work with the all of the blockchain platform providers and integrators. The integrators from the perspective of we're going to help them when they're recommending and they're consulting on putting in blockchains. We can help them put in a security solution to protect that blockchain. And obviously the blockchain platform providers, we look forward to working with them to make our technology more integratable to their side.
Gotcha. So this revenue share, is that forever?
It's for every token holder. So the answer is yes. If you hold on to your token, you will get that quarterly quarterly amount, the revenue share from us. If you sell the token, obviously it then goes to now the new token holder.
But you're not buying back and burn or anything like that, right?
Well, we have put a certain amount of tokens in reserve. At the point after our STO is finished, if we didn't need those tokens, then we will be burning those tokens.
Okay, gotcha. Someone asked, do you plan on integrating with password managers?
So right now, with a password, and tell that person thank you very much. That's a great question. So on mobile devices, so our CryptoDefender for mobile, we actually have in there our own password manager.
Okay.
So the keyboard, it's not only the keyboard, it's actually 5 features. There's the main feature is obviously the keystroke encryption, but we also have a password manager in there. We have a more secure browser than your phone's browser today. We actually hardened the browser. We have in there a password generator, and we have our own OTP, our two-factor authentication OTP, where it generates the 6-digit code in there. Mm-hmm. So, and that is oath compliant, which fits in with just about anyone's, oath compliant two-factor authentication platform. So by getting our CryptoDefender application, if someone has two-factor, you can use your token to log in with that two-factor. So we do that on the mobile side. Now on the desktop, we work with, so what we do, we actually make password managers safer. Because the problem with a password manager, and there's a lot of big named ones out there, they could all, when you're setting up your password manager for the very first time, how do you get your passwords in there? You type them in there. Mm-hmm. And so imagine I have a keylogger on your system and I type your master password, and every time you type a new password into your password manager, I'm keylogging that. So what good is a password manager if you're not protecting it from the get-go? So the first thing is we protect, and we always tell people when you use our software, our CryptoDefender, first thing is go in and change all the passwords on your password manager, but you do it with CryptoDefender turned on, right? Because now everything that's going in there can't get keylogged. Mm-hmm. So we'll anti-keylog and we'll do a screen scrape, screen protection, anti-screen scraping. so that everything that you do when you log into your password manager, we're going to protect it. And the other thing is, because remember, what we're doing is from the fingertips, when you type it in your passwords, we're encrypting it. We're going through our own separate data channel, and then only we decrypt it directly into your password manager. So the answer is we already work with all of the password managers. We make password managers safer.
Gotcha. That's gotcha, man. So here's a really good one. Given the hackers' methodology of supply chain attacks, how do we prevent supply chain attacks on BlockSafe products?
So it's a great question. So what we did was, for example, in our crypto software, and really, so if you look at our CryptoDefender, the way we built it, Chris, is we understand, and by the way, every security company in the world should understand this. They have a target on their back, right? That's a known. So what we did was we built several other features and capabilities into it. So when it installs, it actually puts a set of processes running that always make sure it is first in line to basically encrypt your keystrokes. If we're not first in line because there's been a target attack, our CryptoDefender on the desktop will actually tell you, which is a form of deterrency. It'll actually say to you, Chris, CryptoDefender has been disabled. It'll actually notify you that there was a problem. So unlike other, AV companies that once you get a virus, they don't tell you got a virus, you got a virus. Well, if we always know if we're up and running, so if we find that we're not up and running because of a targeted attack, we're going to let you know. And if you're on a network, we're going to let the network admin also know that device has been infected and is no longer running. Mm-hmm. And isn't that important? It's one thing if they infected, because like I said, no one could ever say never. We'll never say never. So what we did was we built another layer in there of defensiveness by if we are removed, we're going to let you know. And it's basically going to say to you, Chris, don't type anything because we've been disabled. And you'll know that. And that is an extremely important defensive. So it's our backup. It's our secondary defensive system to our first frontline defensive part.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then on our authentication system, well, the only way you can get into our authentication system is using out-of-band authentication. So you have to be the appropriate person that's been provisioned, and it's going to come to your device. So to break in, you have to steal that person's device, and then you have to steal that person's finger or whatever authentication method that they chose to be able to log in. So you need to know their username and password to start with. Then you'd also have to go and steal their device, and then how they were going to log in on that device. So that's a very secure system as well.
Cool. Well, George, that was a monster interview, but security is a very, very, very deep topic. So I very much appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. So finally, I'd like to just give you the floor for a couple of minutes to basically say anything you want to the live audience, not restricted by a question. And if you think we've said everything, just give out your URLs.
I appreciate that. I'll leave off on this. Folks, we've been in security for 18 years now, coming up on 19 years. We've dedicated our lives to making the world a safer place for people to compute. And right now we're specifically focused in the blockchain crypto world. It is facing a lot of challenges right now, and a lot of them are because of hacking. And we're dedicated to making that part of the industry very safe. And we'd love for people to come on that mission with us, help us where you can to basically make the world a safer place for people to compute in the crypto and blockchain industry. And if you want to learn more, our corporate website is www.blocksafetech.com. If you'd like to participate in our token, you can go to our our IO site, which is www.blocksafetech.io. There is a link on our corporate website over to our IO website. On our corporate website, there is a media tab. And if you'd like to see any of the products actually demoed, I actually did videos. You mentioned that before, Chris, where they're out there. So you can go and watch me keylog on a crypto wallet and watch me do a blockchain transaction verification. All those videos are out there. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done. Not only, for the cryptoverse, everything that you're doing there, especially on the education side, because it's an exciting place we're all in. We absolutely, get up in the morning, we're, eating and drinking, crypto and blockchain. And we just want everyone to have fun, but also be safe.
Absolutely. On that note, George, thanks very much for being on the Cryptoverse today.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening today.
Good luck with that STO, mate.
Thank you, sir.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye. And away goes George. There we go. Right, we'll come back now. That was a hell of a interview. Deep. I didn't really want to leave any stone unturned, and even though we were going for a long time there, we still left a few stones unturned. But I think we did a pretty good job there of balancing out the questions. Ooh, it's hot in here. Look at my face. Cool. Well, that was a surprise. I didn't know. I only saw the security token offering people the security token offering thing this morning when I was checking out the website. Even though I booked George in for the interview like more than a week ago or 2 weeks ago, can't remember. But I didn't know they were doing an STO, so I thought, we may as well talk about that. That's interesting. And also, I feel better talking about STOs purely because the chances of them being a scam is so much lower, right? Because they're regulated, which means if they turn out to be a scam, there are some serious consequences and the scammers are known. So that's a hell of a deterrent right there. It doesn't actually technically prevent a scam. It just means that the incentive and the chance of getting away with it is so low that I just don't think people would do it. And also, in BlockSafe's case, well, their parent company's been around 18 years, George says, so they've got a lot to lose. So I'm not expecting them to be anything but legit. Kind of interesting though, and this is the benefit of security tokens, right? You can't do things like the revenue share thing with an ICO because that straight away falls foul of securities laws, So it's a trade-off, isn't it? If you're willing to do the KYC and you're willing to participate in an SEO, well, there are benefits like the ability to share quarterly revenues. So on the other side, ICOs can be done anonymously, but they're unregulated, but then you can remain anonymous. So horses for courses, I suppose. They both have their own place in the world. Let's just see what other questions you had here. Eric C said, is this product compatible with the Ethos Universal Wallet? Well, the answer to that is that it's not a case of it's compatible with all wallets, right? They don't have to specifically integrate. They could do if Ethos wallet developers wanted to work with BlockSafe, but they don't have to. If you use the BlockSafe tools, then it will protect all software wallets, including Ethos. So it doesn't matter. If it's a software wallet, then from what George has told us today, yes, it will protect it. So Dave Tech says, stop using Windows, people. Midnight Shift. I think this was the person that's using the BlockSafe products. BlockSafe parent company Strikeforce Technologies has had major corporations testing the keyboard encryption continuously. The weakest link is always the people. Yeah, we said that in there. Professor Wally says, I may have missed answers to BlockSafe versus BlockSafe Tech reputation and naming question. No, I didn't ask those questions, Professor Wally. We ran out of time there. But it's a good. The BlockSafe thing is interesting because if we head back to the webpage here, well, they've got a trademark sign next to, BlockSafe Technologies is their trademark, but BlockSafe is another crypto project, isn't it? Maybe it's just BlockSafe without the technologies bit. Let me just search CoinMarketCap here. Is it a coin? BlockSafe. No, it's not, is it? I know what Professor Wally's talking about. I've heard of BlockSafe. Let me just search DuckDuckGo real quick. BlockSafe. There you go. BlockSafe.co is a different company entirely. So BlockSafe Technologies is the company we just spoke to, and then BlockSafe is a different thing altogether. So the question Professor Wally wanted me to ask, which I didn't, was how do you prevent the confusion between the two? Because they're both in the crypto and blockchain space. So there's a possibility of confusion there, but maybe I can ask George that at another time. Alrighty then, I think that's about enough for today. We've been going 1 hour and 37 minutes, which is quite long enough for a live stream. So here we go over to the outro. Let's play the credits. I think yet again, there's only going to be one person in the credits, and it's going to be Professor Wally. No one else contributed to the stream, despite the fantastic information. So thanks very much for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, go ahead, hit the like button. If you're new around here and you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to support the Cryptoverse by heading on over to the website, which is thecryptoverse.show. Click on the blue button to become a patron, or head on over to cryptoasset.school, where you can take my online courses and help support the production of the Cryptoverse. That is all for today. I'm going to be back with the next episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.